remember the days we saw purple haze. 1 and 1, and 1 is 3. Hey, hey, baby, what you do to me?
Welcome to www.moresongs.com. Today we're in Washington, D.C. with R. Keith Stroup, the founder and Chief Executive Officer of NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. And just wanted to ask Keith one or two questions, one of which is this. Is there any room for hope whatsoever, Keith? That seems like 25 years ago we were right on the verge of reaching some common sense on this whole issue. And
well, I think you're right. I mean, in some ways it would be easy to get discouraged because it has been a long struggle, and we came very close in the late 70s to winning this fight. We didn't in the end. The other side came back. The war on drugs came full bore, and for about 20 years, they've been kicking our ass. I mean, we haven't won very many battles until about '96, when the tide started coming back our direction. So I wouldn't blame anyone if they're discouraged or jaded, or if they begin to doubt whether we can ever change things. But in fact, I will tell you that I am absolutely convinced that the momentum is now switched back in our direction again. The most obvious proof of that was in Oregon in November of 1998, when 67% of the voters in Oregon said, no, we do not want to arrest marijuana smokers. That wasn't just for medical use, that was for recreational use. And I don't think Oregon's the only state that would vote that way if the voters had a chance to vote on that issue. Our problem is that elected officials continue to act as if we're in the mid-50s and it's reefer madness. Now, part of that is because they came of age during a time when all they heard was zero tolerance and mandatory penalties and longer prison sentences, and marijuana arrests kept skyrocketing. So for a lot of politicians, they still believe that if they show any support for decriminalizing marijuana or legalizing marijuana, they're going to be called soft on drugs and defeated at the next election.
exactly.
That is not the case, but we have to demonstrate that. We have got to demonstrate to our elected officials that there is a significant constituency out there. Middle-class people who vote, who live good lives, who work hard, who raise kids, contribute to their communities, the kind of Americans that we all sort of were brought up to think we're supposed to be, but they happen to smoke marijuana. And even those who don't, over half of them say it's unfair and that we should not arrest marijuana smokers. So I think the challenge for the reform constituency, and for NORML in particular, is to bridge that gap between public opinion and public policy. And I think that we are beginning to do that, but we've got a few years to go. I think the next 2 or 3 years we should be able to finally win the medical use issue. We've been winning it state by state. At some point the federal government's going to have to cave in, they're going to have to change federal law, and that'll be taken care of. And then the major debate will shift to, well, should we at least decriminalize the user? And if we're going to decriminalize the user, wouldn't it make more sense if we had a legally regulated and controlled market? Obviously it would. Get rid of the black market. So I am absolutely convinced that in the time frame of 5 to 10 years, we will actually finally legalize marijuana in this country. Now, I'm an eternal optimist, Patrick. I'll admit to that.
I'm going to come back to take you up on your great undertaking.
You know, I have to admit to you that in the 1970s, when things were going well and we were winning and the country was behind us,
I thought it was all going to be taken care of back in Jimmy Carter's
That's right,
era.
exactly, under Jimmy Carter. I actually was quoted in many TV interviews and stuff as suggesting that by 78 or 79 we should have legalized marijuana, and we believed that. So I could understand if no one wants to believe me now, because I've been wrong before. But attitudes on drug policy, they shift like a pendulum, and for 20 years it was running against us. Well, it finally has started back our direction, and we're gaining momentum every day. So I really do expect great things over the next 2 or 3 years.
And Keith, we certainly appreciate everything that you have done, are doing, and we want you to lead us on to the promised land.
Thank you very much, Patrick. You're very kind.
Thank you.
It's my privilege this morning to introduce to you the man who just introduced me, the man who founded the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. You know, Board of Directors has a lot of jobs, but the single most important function by far that we have is to find and recruit and support the best national director that we can find. We have done that, I'm pleased to tell you. In Keith Stroup, we have the man who was born to play the role of the National Executive Director of Normal, the man who has done without question more than any other individual human being to advance the cause of positive reform of the marijuana laws, Mr. Keith Stroup.